Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, May 2023. Libra, the month starts on the 5th, 6th with a lunar eclipse in your second house. It doesn't directly affect you unless you have planets in Scorpio. And to know that, again, use my transit calculator, which I'm putting a link below. Personal transit calculator, because unless you see that the eclipse is exactly conjunct some planet of yours, probably it will pass your way without any major changes. But if you have some planet in Scorpio, and many Libras tend to have, especially if your sun is in Libra, then it can be quite different, and then you can read what exactly it means there in the transit calendar. But otherwise, there can be some changes here in the second house. Without the planet there, not so much, but let's see what it's possible. So this eclipse can indicate that over the next month or two, or even a month before, there can be some big shift in your finances, which is the second house, with your savings. And it's a possibility that there can be some losses because this eclipse is with the south node. And eclipse is like something that you own, you might have to let go of. It might be a valuable possession or whatever, or you might sometimes like lose something or sacrifice or give up something willingly for something bigger and better. Because don't forget that the north node is in your 8th house, and Jupiter is entering there from the middle of the month, which means that something huge, and that's again financial house, something huge and big is coming to you from others, maybe from your partner, or maybe from some investments that you've made. But first, there might be the need to sacrifice something, or there might be extra expenses for something. They're making space here. You're letting go of something that you consider that is important for you. It's not always money only or resources. It can be something valuable, like value, some kind of value that you're sacrificing because of your partner's value, or because of some other values that are shifting, external ones. But there might be the sense that, oh, you have to give up something to receive something. And there might be the need, the second house is also eating habits. So one way it's very good is that this eclipse can suddenly help you interrupt and stop, because it's with Uranus, sudden interruptions, and letting go of unhealthy eating. You can eliminate certain food groups from your second house, is what you put in your body, or certain, you can eliminate what? Smoking, anything that's toxic, Scorpio, anything that is like a mental obsession for you as well, or fixation of some sort, which is insatiable. You can help you eliminate insatiable hunger, or insatiable like mindless, or eating like nervous eating, emotional eating. Scorpio is emotional sign. Libra is susceptible to that, by the way, because such an intense sign is in its second house of eating, what you put in your mouth, whether it's smoking, drinking, kind of nervous eating. So they can be, this eclipse can serve as an interruption to such habits and making you stop them. And maybe it started a month ahead, and you have a few months ahead as well where this is likely to happen. Let go of such things. On another thing, there is the second house is family. So there might be some kind of a family crisis or situation, something important that is happening and shifting as well there, that you need to pay attention to. The specifics I cannot tell you exactly. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure. The moon rules your 10th house, so in the second house, I'm not sure what exactly can be connected to parents, or I don't know, because that's the parental axe. The moon is the mother as well, so we can just guess. We can just throw out there certain ideas how it can play out symbolically. Then the other big events that are happening for you, Libra, is Mercury is turning direct in your 8th house, which means it's retrograde till the middle of the month, till the 14th. So that can be an intense period where you're asked to focus your attention. Mercury is mind, your mental skills and abilities on maybe taxes, on insurances, or even inheritances, dealing with such matters this whole month. Mercury is there in your 8th house the whole month, even though half of it is retrograde, which means things might be going slower or more stressful, certain documents, or if you're trying to get a mortgage or anything to do with resources that come to you from others, a loan, a mortgage, taxes, insurances, you might be you know, this retrograde period might require you to put extra efforts to sort those things, or they ask you for extra documents or papers, and it's involving your focus and your mind, so you're dealing with such things. Oh, that's the time my husband does taxes. Oh, wonderful, he's liberalizing. So I guess things will be a bit more intense there. Sometimes retrograde period, you don't have certain piece of information, it's slowed down and it's returned and you have to redo it. But when Mercury turns direct, you'd have done most of the hard work, you'd have met whatever curveballs the universe throws you and have dealt with them, so it becomes easier after that. 8th house is also mutual finances and resources and investments, like stock market and whatever. Mercury retrograde can make you consider alternatives, but don't take risks till the 14th with your finances and your investments. After the 16th, I would say, if you want to invest in something totally new, or you can change something. If you've already invested, you can pull your money out, Mercury retrograde, or you can take your gains back, Mercury retrograde. But there might be certain crises there during the retrograde period where it goes down, your investments or whatever, and you need to shift something. But after the 14th, actually, especially after the 16th, when Jupiter also enters your 8th house, all such matters become very, very auspicious for a year ahead, because Jupiter, the planet of luck, is entering your 8th house. So maybe your investment, you'd have the idea to invest in the right things to bring you money. You'd receive a lot of help and support with insurances, or money from insurance, or money from government, or taxes. You can receive help and support, or become very knowledgeable about taxes and insurance. So you can just increase your income through others or your partner. The 8th house is partner's finances, can suddenly grow. Or if you have a business together with another person, if you collaborate, just like I collaborate with other astrologers, you can gain. Gains can come to you by working with others through their talents, through their resources. I remember when Jupiter was transiting my 8th house, that's when I started working and promoting other astrologers. Suddenly my income doubled because of that, because of working with other people's resources and their talents. So try not just to do things alone now. Combine with a partner. That's where the luck will come to you from. Combine with the advice of another person, the resources or the skills of another person. You can receive a loan, you can receive something connected to mortgages and so on. You can receive money from another person, if you're a gold digger or whatever, or if your partner can get a promotion over the next 1 year, or just bring more money. Plus, the 8th house is an intimacy house. It's the house, it's on the side of relationships. Jupiter in the 7th house sometimes can bring a new partner, improve your relationships with the partner, or bring a few. Well, Jupiter in the 8th house can bring more intimacy, can bring more sexual intimacy and closeness. And sometimes, because it is a hidden house, they can bring hidden relationships and private relationships. But if your relationship is good and you wanna improve it, this 1 year can help you deepen the trust, the intimacy between you. And it can even sometimes, like I've seen, sexual healing by allowing to connect with another person on a deep level. It releases psychological traumas and pains. Also, Jupiter in the 8th house can allow you to heal traumas. This is 8th house, is the house of traumas, especially traumas if you have fears of being abandoned, fears of being betrayed. These are especially the powerful traumas of the 8th house. Jupiter helps you heal from such things, help you realize why it's happening. Jupiter is planet of knowledge and understanding something. So it might be a wonderful time when you can have big revelations psychologically, big moments of release and psychological release, and even it might feel a bit like explosions emotionally, but something will make, and actually it can be even physical healing, because we carry through traumas pent-up energy in our energy body, which filters down into the physical body and manifests like diseases and illnesses and chronic conditions. And when Jupiter starts spinning the chakras, because the 8th house rules all the apertures of the body, which is the 7 chakras, it starts spinning it faster and cleaning them and making them work properly. You spin out these blockages and those traumas. You release them. You might be working with a psychologist. It will happen even faster. It can happen spontaneously, or it can happen because you're studying astrology and you have realizations, or you're reading psychological books and you have realizations, or you can just dawn on you spontaneously. And this release of toxic or painful emotions and feelings that happens through some kind of deep understanding, it can be very cathartic. That catharsis can have a healing on your physical body and conditions and blockages as well. But that's fantastic time where people can really advance if they work with a psychologist, or if they do hypnotherapy or past life regression into the invisible realms, into their subconscious, dig deep and find answers and observe themselves, and they'll see their motivations. They'll understand a lot more. There's like the work that Jupiter does is psychological here in the 8th house. It has some external events, manifestations. We talked about them. Say if you're an investor, work with other people's finances and resources, you can make a lot more money. Or if you invest, or if you are a banker, or if you work in emergency, which is 8th house, or if you're an occultist or an astrologer or psychologist, you can really take off your career with Jupiter in the 8th house, because these are 8th house careers. Hidden money, or you can gain through taxes in some way, or you can gain through, these are the more material manifestations that we talked about, but the deeper psychological ones are about opening yourself and trusting the universe and trusting to receive from others more, having faith with giving your life into the hands of another person as well, and trusting them. Especially if you've been betrayed before, this can heal some of those wounds. It can do it through a personal relationship. It can do it through some kind of a, of course, 8th house is house of crisis. When Jupiter enters there, it can initially bring some crisis sometimes. And it can bring, especially if you're not in a good relationship, very quick dissolution of a relationship, because usually someone else appears very quickly. Because and you're no longer just wanting to stay there. It's just Jupiter, it's like frees you. It's a liberation house, the 8th house, one of the houses of divorce, but because a new private relationship that feels more trustful, more intimate appears. Oftentimes some astrologers says that actually 8th house is when you can meet your soulmate. That's when I met my husband, with Jupiter transiting my 8th house from Ascendant. I recently had Jupiter transiting the 8th house from my Sun. I think our intimacy improved. From my moon, sorry. I felt our intimacy improved. Another way is you can get pregnant. 8th house is the house of intercourse and pregnancy. I got pregnant with Jupiter in my 8th house from the Ascendant, and later on 8th house from my Sun. So that this is, if you want to, this is possibility, or even if you don't want to, it's also a possibility. Jupiter can bring more confidential information in your life. It can bring more secrets as well. That's another way it can expand. And it can bring obsession and stronger desires than other times towards something as well. That's the darker side of the 8th house, where it can really expand this desirous nature, this obsessive nature a little bit. On another level, the 8th house rules death and rebirth. In very rare occasions, I have seen someone dies because it rules inheritance as well, and receiving inheritance. Someone dies, but you receive inheritance, Jupiter in the 8th house. It's possibility, just letting you know. I hope it's not the case for you. Hope it's not the case for my husband. But his grandma is very sick and she's got a big inheritance, so I don't know. It's a possibility, but just saying things. I'm learning astrology with you guys through the life of my loved ones. So I'm just experiencing for me, that was the best transit of my life. Like, I was the happiest, the luckiest when Jupiter transited my 8th house. It was I fell in love like a schoolgirl. I was just so happy, butterflies in my stomach, got pregnant, had a divorce at the same time. A lot of very critical. It felt like death of the old me, the rebirth of the new me. It was very intense emotionally. So intense, I would cry. Sometimes I didn't know if I'm crying from the fear of something, such big and fast changes. 8th house is the house of transformations and changes. Jupiter is like bam, 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 bam. But that's especially intense from the ascendant. For me, that's how it was. I didn't feel it much from the moon, Jupiter there. Well, at least there were not such big changes. I almost died, Jupiter in the 8th house from the moon. And once I healed from this, I had crisis after crisis after crisis, panic attacks. And once I healed from it, I felt like a reborn. I felt like, so sometimes it can, bring such things, but I felt brand new. So it gave me awareness of death. So that can be a time when and I became obsessed with studying life after death, near-death experiences, because I felt I was so close. I could see it, like I could see death hanging off of me. I don't want to scare you. I've not seen other people die with Jupiter in the 8th house, neither did I. But I was taken to the edge there, and I got fascinated with life after death. And last time Jupiter was transiting my 8th house, I started studying astrology, the occult. So this is amazing things. If you want to learn something about psychology, astrology, if you psychic abilities can open up for some of you. Abilities, the chakras can spin, the kundalini can rise, which is a hell of a scary process. I don't know who want that. The friends that have gone through that, they're like, yeah, they're reborn after that. Yeah, they feel like it's like they look younger. Rejuvenation is the 8th house. When Jupiter transits there, you can start looking younger. Some important event can speed up the rejuvenation process in your body. And sometimes it can even bring a surgery, but the surgery or some kind of extreme event, just like giving birth. That's one thing that happened with one of the Jupiter transits in my 8th house. It's intense, it's life and death situation, but you're reborn. I was like, you see life with brand new eyes after that. That's why it's the house of life and the house of death. And they both you appreciate life a lot more when you experience a big crisis or a death. So there is this rejuvenation that's happening in a cellular level for you. Sometimes people even transform how they look, and they transform how they psychologically how they feel. Jupiter naturally rules your 3rd house. There can be a big transformational event with a sibling, and big change with a sibling as well, or friends. And Jupiter also rules your 6th house, the ruler of the 6th in the 8th. Interesting. That's Viprit Yoga in Vedic astrology, which Viprit Yoga is 2 bad houses, 2 negatives cancel each other out. So something difficult is turned into something positive. That's the easiest way I can tell it to you. So even if something difficult appears for you, it can be turned into something very positive. You can make lemonade out of lemons with this. So some problem that you transform and make it work for your best. Also, 6th house rule is illnesses, so or health habits being transformed, and because 8th house is like, it's like a washing machine that spins it and kind of breaks it and changes it. So some kind of unhealthy habits and patterns that can be transformed like that, totally transformed, or some health chronic condition that can be suddenly twisted, changed around. We talked about that before. So anyway, and Jupiter's rule of the 6th house can be direct correlation to your career, to your work or employment, also sudden change, but it can bring more money. It's for the best after all in some way, and the transformation of your identity. Okay, these are not easy themes, the 8th house, but again, I told you things for this. That was the best thing that ever happened in my life. I felt like it was such a huge crisis, but it changed my whole life, and it was the most rejuvenating thing ever, most exhilarating and intense. But let's hope, you know, you all have this rebirth transfer. You all will have it, don't worry. And yeah, fascinating, interesting times for Libras coming ahead.